The whispers in the trees. I never should have gone into those woods alone. It started as a simple hike, something to clear my mind. The forest was dense, the kind that swallowed sound. The deeper I went, the quieter everything became. Even my footsteps seemed muffled by the thick carpet of leaves. Then I heard it. A whisper. At first I thought it was the wind threading through the trees, but the sound had shape. Words, just out of reach. My name, maybe? I shook it off and kept walking, but my stomach twisted with unease. A little farther in, I found something strange. A tree, its bark stripped away in long, claw-like marks. The grooves were deep, too deliberate to be weather or animals. My heart kicked up a notch, and that's when I realized I hadn't heard a single bird or insect in a while. The forest was holding its breath. Then the whisper came again, closer. This time I understood the words. Turn back. I spun around, but no one was there. The trees stretched endlessly in all directions. I wasn't lost, but suddenly I felt misplaced, like I had stepped somewhere I wasn't supposed to be. I started back the way I came, moving fast. My own breathing was loud in the silence. And then, just ahead, I saw something impossible. My footprints. But they weren't leading back. They were circling. Panic surged through me. I walked straight. I knew I had. But somehow I had looped back to where I started. The whispers swelled, overlapping, coming from the trees themselves. The stripped bark, the silence, the wrongness. I finally understood. The forest wasn't empty. It was waiting. I ran. I didn't care where, just away. The whispers turned into wails, voices I didn't recognize screaming my name. The trees blurred past me. My legs ached, but I didn't stop until I saw the road. I don't know how I made it out, but as I stepped onto the pavement, the voices stopped. The next day, I drove past the trailhead just to prove to myself that it was real. But the entrance was gone, just an unbroken line of trees where the path had been. Like the forest had never wanted me to leave.
Echoes of the Witch. I had always been skeptical of local legends, dismissing them as mere folklore. The tale of the Blair Witch, a ghostly figure said to haunt the Black Hills Forest near Burkittsville, Maryland, was no exception. Stories circulated about her, from the 18th century accounts of Ellie Kedward, accused of witchcraft and banished, to the 1940s reports of Rustin Parr, a hermit who confessed to killing 7 children under her influence. One crisp autumn afternoon, curiosity got the better of me. I decided to explore the forest, armed with my camera, to document any evidence of the supernatural. The townsfolk had mentioned eerie occurrences, strange symbols, unsettling noises, and the feeling of being watched. But I was determined to see for myself. As I ventured deeper into the woods, the dense canopy filtered the sunlight, casting elongated shadows that danced with the breeze. The forest was silent, save for the occasional rustle of leaves underfoot. I pressed on, noting the serene beauty around me. After a couple of hours, I stumbled upon a clearing. At its center stood an old dilapidated house, its wooden structure weathered by time. Recalling the stories of Rustin Parr, who had lived in a similar house, I felt a chill but brushed it off as the cool air settling in. I approached the house, its door hanging ajar, creaking with the slightest touch. Inside, the air was musty, filled with the scent of decay. Faded children's handprints adorned the walls, reminiscent of the tales where Parr had the children face the wall before their demise. As I explored further, I found a set of stairs leading to the basement. Each step groaned under my weight, echoing in the confined space. At the bottom, the darkness was thick, almost tangible. I switched on my flashlight, its beam cutting through the gloom. Suddenly, a cold draft brushed past me, and I heard a faint whisper, indistinct but haunting. My heart raced, but I steadied myself, attributing it to the wind and my imagination. I raised my camera, capturing the eerie ambiance. Then from the corner of my eye, I noticed a shadow move. I turned swiftly, but there was nothing. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, filling the room with an oppressive presence. Panic set in. I fumbled with my equipment, the flashlight flickering as if the batteries were draining rapidly. Determined to maintain composure, I spoke aloud, "Is anyone here?" My voice echoed, but there was no response. Only the escalating whispers, now almost a chorus of anguished voices. Deciding it was time to leave, I turned toward the stairs. To my horror, standing at the base was a figure, its form indistinct, shrouded in darkness. The whispers crescendoed, each word now clear. Leave! Now! I didn't need further prompting. I bolted up the stairs, nearly tripping in my haste. Bursting out of the house, I didn't stop running until I reached the forest edge, the town lights visible in the distance. Breathless and shaken, I glanced back. The forest stood silent, the house hidden within its depths, holding on to its secrets. I had sought to debunk a legend, but instead encountered something inexplicable. Whether it was the Blair Witch or my mind playing tricks, I couldn't say. But one thing was certain. Some stories are rooted in truths best left undisturbed.
The oddity of whispering pines. I've always found solace in the embrace of nature, where the rustling leaves and chirping birds provide a serene escape from daily life. One weekend, seeking a new adventure, I decided to explore a trail I'd heard whispers about, Whispering Pines. The name alone intrigued me, suggesting tales and secrets hidden within its depths. The trailhead was unmarked, known only to a few locals who spoke of its untouched beauty. As I ventured deeper, the path narrowed, and the familiar sounds of the forest seemed to fade, replaced by an almost tangible silence. The air grew cooler, and a gentle breeze carried the faint scent of pine and damp earth. After about an hour of hiking, I stumbled upon a peculiar sight, a clearing with a single, massive pine tree at its center. Its branches stretched wide, casting an imposing shadow. What caught my attention, however, were the objects hanging from its limbs. Dozens of handcrafted wooden figures dangled from the branches, swaying gently despite the still air. Each was unique, carved with intricate details, yet all bore expressions of anguish or fear. The craftsmanship was both mesmerizing and unsettling. Curiosity piqued, I approached the tree for a closer look. The figures were aged, their wood weathered and cracked. As I reached out to touch one, a soft whisper brushed past my ear. "Leave this place," it seemed to say. I spun around, expecting to find someone behind me, but the clearing was empty. The whispering ceased, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. I chuckled nervously, attributing it to my imagination. Continuing my exploration, I noticed that the ground around the tree was devoid of the usual forest undergrowth. No grass, no flowers, just bare earth. It was as if the tree had claimed this space entirely for itself. As I circled the tree, I found carvings etched into its bark, symbols and patterns that seemed familiar yet foreign. They resembled ancient runes, telling a story I couldn't decipher. A sudden rustling broke my concentration. I looked up to see the wooden figures swaying more vigorously, though there was no wind. The whispers returned, louder this time, overlapping and indistinct, creating a cacophony of urgent murmurs. A chill ran down my spine. The atmosphere had shifted from serene to sinister. I decided it was time to leave. Retracing my steps, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The forest, once inviting, now felt oppressive. Shadows seemed to move in the corners of my vision, and the whispers persisted, fading in and out. After what felt like an eternity, I emerged from Whispering Pines, the late afternoon sun warming my chilled skin. I glanced back, half expecting to see someone or something watching me, but there was only the dense foliage. I never returned to Whispering Pines. The memory of that day lingers, a reminder that some places, no matter how inviting, harbor secrets and oddities beyond our understanding.